lights on the airways hum. Hear the tales of where they're from. Stories whispered, not in lies. Jobs they held through changing times.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Amplify Your Signal, where we elevate stories, amplify voices, and support one another one episode at a time. I'm your host, Nicole Roberts, and today I'm joined by someone whose story is a powerful reminder that living in alignment with your values is the bravest career move you can make. Valencia Kimbrough is a dedicated HR leader and community advocate who recently made the bold choice to walk away from a high-paying corporate role to prioritize her mental health and return to the kind of work that truly feeds her soul. From sports to government to nonprofits, she's carried her passion for people into every space. And now she's focused on helping others from her community see what's possible for them too. To kick us off, beyond the resume, who is Valencia Kimbrough?
Thank you so much, Nicole. So before the work, I'm a mom. I'm a wife of 23 years. I am a daughter. I'm a sister, and I'm an auntie. At my core, I'm a connector and a relationship builder. Yes, my career has been rooted in HR and workforce development and community impact, but beyond those titles, I'm someone who believes in people and that people deserve access. They deserve dignity and they deserve opportunity. I'm deeply curious about people's story, and I'm driven by the ideal that work should not just sustain you financially, but it should also align with who you are and what you value. I'm also someone who has learned, sometimes in a hard way, that success means nothing if it costs you your peace and your mental health. Titles change, industries change, but my values don't. I care deeply about purpose, alignment, and making sure that the work I do actually means something.
I think that's so powerful. Titles change, but my values don't. I think that is a mic drop moment for sure. You shared such a meaningful story about how your dad opened doors for you through his work with the Browns. That early exposure shaped so much of who you are. What's a moment that really sticks with you?
What sticks with me wasn't like the proximity to professional sports. It was the exposure. Being around the Browns showed me early that spaces for influence exist beyond the scenes, not only just on the field, but I watched how relationships, trust, and access worked in real time. It taught me that doors don't open evenly for everyone. I mean, that if you're fortunate enough to walk through one, you have a responsibility to hold it open for someone else. And opening that door doesn't have to cost you anything but time and effort. My dad helped me get my first summer job in sports. I was just an usher for the Browns. And in order to get a ride to work, my sisters and I would get up at 5 a.m. on a Sunday with my dad. And we didn't even have to be at work until 10 a.m. And not only did he do that for me, when I participated in the criminal justice program in high school, he actually gave me my first internship. And yes, I was blessed to meet players and leaders, but he also made sure I understood the hard work that those security officers put in every day. I will never forget walking on the fifth floor of the football stadium during a snowstorm with my dad to ensure every single door of that building was locked and secured after a game. He didn't have to make me do that, but he wanted me to understand that with all the glitz and glam, it's hard work behind it. And I truly appreciate that to this day.
I love that. I think that's such an important thing as parents to make sure that we are doing our best to teach our kids, especially in things where, as you were talking about access and, you were there and at the stadium and with your dad and all of that. And he could have just been like, oh, what a cool perk, right? Because you're my daughter and I work here and what a neat thing. But he showed you the hard work and really the behind the scenes that happened and the grit that was required. And I love that. I used to take my kids when I worked in emergency and specialty veterinary medicine. And yeah, it was really cool because mom worked with, puppies and kitties. Like, what a cool job. But I actually had a memory the other day on my phone, and it was my daughter with a little badge that had her name on it, and she was petting a dog, but she was in a room where there were other patients, and it was the emergency room of this veterinary hospital, right? So it wasn't, oh, here's all these dogs and cats and what a fun place to work. Like, she saw the stress and the pressure testing that went into that work as well. And also, I mean, some people didn't get to bring their pets home. So I think it's really important that we show, yeah, sometimes people work overnights and things like that, right? I'd bring her in, and we would talk to the people that were on third shift that were getting off work at 6 o'clock in the morning. And
Yes.
she's like, oh, wow, you've been here all night? And they're like, yeah, I have. And they were doing really important work. And I think it's just wonderful that your dad showed you that really important work that has to go on in order for people to be able to do their best work, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. You made a choice that many would call risky, but for you, it was necessary. You walked away from a high paying corporate job for the sake of your mental health and well being. And first of all, I applaud you for that. I know that anybody who knows me knows that, I joke, kind of don't joke, that my career and my lifestyle was literally trying to kill me. And so I've changed that quite a bit in the last 3 years, but what led you to that decision, and how did you find the courage to follow through?
The decision did not come easily. It came after a number of months talking to my husband, a mental breakdown where I found myself having to take FMLA from work. I realized I was succeeding on paper, but I was slowly disappearing in my real life. I love giving back to the community. I love spending time with my family, and I found that I couldn't do those things. So while I'm managing stress and expectations from others and other people's crises, I was ignoring my own. I was ignoring what was important to me. I was ignoring what made me get up every morning. And the courage, it didn't come from confidence because I don't have a lot of that, but it came from clarity and it came from my wonderful husband and my children. And I knew if I stayed, I would continue to betray myself. I reminded myself that no salary is worth my sanity, worth being burnt out, worth the anxiety. Walking away was terrifying, and still is. I'm still looking for that next opportunity. But staying, I think, would have been worse, not only for me, but for my employees I supported, for my husband, for my kids. So after speaking to my family, I took that break. I made that decision, and my family has supported me for the last 2 months as I relax, reset, and I refocus. I am ready now, I feel, to go back into the workforce. The position I had required a lot of extensive travel,
Mhm.
supporting a large amount of accounts over a number of states. So while I took pride in what I did, and I really miss my operators and the people that I work with, I knew this was the best choice for me and my family.
Love what you said about that you kind of took stock of what was important and what worked for you, right? And maybe your next opportunity won't have so much travel, right? It's not like you're going to say, oh, well, let me just try to do the exact same thing in a different organization and see if I, get a different result. I mean, you are being very intentional with your search, and I love that. And I love that you have the courage to do that. And I think it is courage to do that, because there are so many people that can get really a scarcity mindset and they just kind of panic. And I mean, I've been there in my own career where I might have taken a role that maybe was not the best thing for me, but I felt like I needed to take it. And to no surprise, right, it didn't end up being that long-term perfect fit for me, but it certainly filled a need at that time. And I want to make sure that people understand that if you are in that season, like, there's no shame in that whatsoever. But if you do have the opportunity to take stock of yourself and of what really makes sense for you to do your best work, that you really do that. And so I'm proud of you that you're doing that. And I
Thank you.
love for you that you have the support from your family to be able to do that.
Me too. I am very fortunate.
Yes. Yes. So you have worked in nonprofit, government, sports, corporate settings. That's a wide spectrum. And it's funny because I find that the more HR people that I talk to, and obviously that's what I've been doing for the last 20 plus years, that we all have diverse range of industries and things that we've worked in, because at the end of the day, people are people. And so you're going to, find some parodies in your work. What have you learned about where you thrive? And also on the flip side, what drains you? Because it's so incredibly important that you know that and understand that, and that you have the courage to ask those good questions as you're going through this process.
Yeah, definitely. I find that I thrive in environments where mission and people matter just as much as matrix. I do my best work where leaders value integrity, transparency, and community impact, not just the output of the work that we're doing day to day. What drains me are usually cultures that prioritize optics over authenticity or productivity, like over people. You can't be productive without the people. So I've learned like that alignment matters to me. And it matters to me more than a paycheck or a title.
So, one thing that I found really interesting about us, because we all think that we're unique until we talk to somebody that's like us, right? We really connected over that idea of being a chameleon at work, and like, oh well, I can just be flexible and adaptable and right, and all of these things that can be a strength for sure, but it can also be a survival mechanism. What does authenticity look like for you now?
That I no longer shrink myself. I no longer overextend myself to fit in the spaces that not necessarily was designed for me. I have to set boundaries. I have to speak up with confidence. And I have to allow my values, not my fear, to guide my decisions. I have sat in so many rooms that looked powerful, but I felt so empty in those spaces. And I don't want that anymore. I want to feel as powerful in those spaces as the room feels. I want to feel like I truly have a seat at the table, and I still have to adapt, right? Each work environment is different, so I know that I have to adapt, but I no longer want to abandon myself in that process.
Yeah. I mean, oh, you need me to shapeshift? Oh, you need me to be this? Oh, you need me to be that? Sure, I can do that, right? Like, no, we are not doing that anymore.
No,
No.
I am me.
Mhm. And PS, they hired you. So as
That's
long
right.
as you are your authentic, genuine self in the process, in theory, that is who they hired. That's what they wanted. So if you show up and you're your genuine self then, and you get pushback, you can be like, well, actually, I mean, I was very upfront and transparent. Like, this is who I am. And so if this isn't what you wanted, then maybe we need to have a conversation about that. But I mean, respectfully, of course. But
Yeah.
I mean, it hurts my heart when I see people, and I've seen it in not just HR, but with managers that are newly promoted, especially, where they are one person in their individual contributor role through the interview process, all of that. And then they get into this management role and they're just not sure of themselves in it, or they're still asking for permission or still interviewing on the job, And I just say to them, I'm like, hey, we hired you for a reason. We just need you to believe that we hired you for that reason. Do what we expected of you. Show up and be that person and own your decision making. And I mean, if we wanted to make all those decisions and do all that work, we would have just done it ourselves. We didn't need you in that role, right? And
Yes.
that's also part of coaching up to your manager as well, right? If they start to kind of micromanage you, or start to just kind of hand things down and want you to execute, like, hey, respectfully, you hired me to do this. And these are my thoughts. And I'd love to have more information and context on that. And I understand if at the end of the day that is the directive of the organization, but can you help me understand it more? Because based on my knowledge and skills and experience, I have different thoughts about how we could do that.
Definitely. And I have to, moving forward, speak up for myself in that manner.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Well, and you're certainly not alone in, I mean, it can get tough to speak up, especially if you don't do it in the beginning, and then you all of a sudden start speaking up for yourself, then you start to second guess yourself, or you can second guess yourself as well.
Yes.
So, yeah. Yeah. So, passion for community definitely shines through everything that you do. And you've been really intentional about opening doors for others. How have you created pathways for others, and why is that so important to you?
This actually started when I was back in high school.
I love it.
Growing up in East Cleveland, Ohio, my dad helped me secure my first summer job in sports, and I quickly realized that many of my classmates didn't have those same opportunities or that same access. So I just made it a point in high school to make sure that the information that my dad was sharing with me that I shared with my classmates. And then if somebody needed a ride to work or something like that, hey, you can ride with us just to make sure you can have this experience. So my dad always told me, and I'm gonna get emotional because my dad is no longer here. He passed away in 2019.
I'm
But
sorry.
he sits right here on my shelf right next to me as I have this conversation with you. But my dad always told me not everyone will make it on the field, like in sports. Like everybody can't be a football player, everybody can't be a baseball player, but there's countless opportunities behind the scenes. And I always just wanted people to know that. So in every job, I've always kept that mindset. So I always carry that into every industry that I went into. Throughout my career, I've always consistently looked at the communities we serve and asked, what's missing? How can we do more? I've created pathways by advocating for people when they're not in the room, building programs that remove barriers for employment, mentoring individuals who don't always see themselves reflected in leadership, and just making sure people know what opportunities are available no matter what industry that I'm in. Like this work matters to me because I've seen firsthand how transformational access can be. Like talent is everywhere, opportunities are not. So I just want to help close that gap and make sure that people from all backgrounds understand the possibilities available to them and how they don't have to settle in mediocre positions and they can really explore their opportunities.
I love that. So I teach a strategic talent acquisition class for HCI, and one of the things that we talk about in that is with your employer branding and all of that. And the number one thing that I always make sure that people take away from that course with them is if somebody doesn't look at your organization and think that they can be successful there, they're not even going to apply. And I always share a story about somebody who was on my team that reported to me, and I was recommending her for this internal promotion. And I said, "Why didn't you apply to that?" And she said, "Because nobody looks like me that is in one of those roles." And so it didn't even occur to me. She didn't even see, couldn't even envision herself being in that role because nobody looked like her on that team. And I thought, exactly what you said, right? Advocating for people that aren't in the room, making sure that you're creating opportunities. But the number one thing, if you're in on the talent team or if you're part of the employer branding or the marketing for the website or whatever, is man, if people can't look at your organization and see that they could be successful there, they don't want to join, because why would they join if they don't think that they could be successful there?
Push back on many marketing teams like, hey, can you give me more diverse pictures? I don't want to see the cookie cutter picture for my marketing page or the branding, portfolio I'm gonna put out. I wanna see different, give me different options. So that's one of the things that's really, really important to me, just making sure that everybody feels like they can have a seat at the table or invited to the party.
Yeah. My favorite is using actual photos. So it's not even like this is the stock photo that we think most closely represents us, right? Like these are actual people. You could talk to them if you wanted to about
Yes.
what it's like to work here. And I remember I worked for one organization and we were in the process of a rebrand. And so we were holding off on doing any updates to our website. And we actually had somebody email and they said, "I'm concerned about your lack of female leadership in your executive team." And we were like, "Well, we have two female executives. What are you talking about?" We weren't on the website though, because it hadn't been updated in who knows how long. And so it was really interesting that our takeaway from that was, well, maybe even when we're not ready to update the full website yet, we should at least make sure that our current leadership team is represented there appropriately, because yeah, they sent an email and they said, "I'm really concerned about how you're able to appropriately support the community when your own executive team is holding you back. Like, how can you have my best interest at heart if there's nobody that looks like me, right?
Yes.
On your executive team. And we're like, oh, well, actually, there's two females on, and it was only five people total. Like it was 50, almost 50% female, right? But nobody would have known just by looking at our website. And we were so tunnel vision focused on, we're doing a rebrand, we're changing the name, and we were actually getting the website away from another vendor because we couldn't make edits ourselves. And so all these reasons why that was a next quarter project. But in the meantime, what message were we sending?
And it's interesting that you talk about that because I would take that comment and I would even talk to our employees. Like,
Hmm.
did you all know that we have women in leadership that, if you're not in that person's department, do you know this person even is a part of the team?
Yes. Yep. Well, one thing that we did that I loved and I took it with me in future organizations is we had new hires do a meet and greet with our executive team because, there was only 4 or 5 of us. After they'd been with the company for a week, we would schedule a Teams call and we would have all of our new hires get on this Teams call. And each of the executives would share who they were, best way to communicate with them because it wasn't the same for everyone, and then a little bit about kind of what part of the organization they supported or owned or et cetera. And it helped people to connect their role to the mission of the organization, to we were thanking them essentially for being out there and helping us to deliver our mission in the community. And then they knew very clearly who the people were in the executive team. We were not disconnected and off doing things in a vacuum. And I think
I love
that
that.
all organizations should do that. You are not too busy and we purposely did it on this Tuesday because we had a weekly exec team meeting, and the first 15 minutes of our meeting, we knew that we were meeting new hires.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. So I want to shift kind of to the present moment. I know that it's a jungle out there, right? In these job searching streets. What are you learning about the current job search experience?
Somebody that comes from HR is boggling to me how impersonal it is. It's tough. And I knew it would be tough. It's a lot of very talented, educated individuals in the market right now. But the impersonal part is what really sticks out to me. A lot of qualified individuals are being overlooked, but we're not even being contacted. There's a lack of contact, there's a lack of response. I remember in my early years of talent acquisitions, making sure I responded to every person that applied, whether that was that automatic email. If you made it to a phone screen, I'm gonna send you a personal email. If you make it to an interview, I'm gonna call you and let you know that you're not gonna make it. None of that is a part of the talent acquisition structure now. So it has become a little bit more difficult, and I'm learning to stay grounded in my values and my alignment and make sure that I'm not making impulsive moves because it's urgent. At the end of the day, I do have a family to take care of, but I want to be intentional. So I am leaning on networking more. I'm leaning on getting back to my true self, which is community. So going to community events, going out and volunteering, and just making sure that I'm present, but also making sure that the next position that comes for me is the right position.
Yeah. Every no makes room for the best yes, right? And it's so important to remember that. And I did a vision board activity with, well, there must have been 25 women there yesterday. It was so uplifting. But one of the stickers that somebody put on their vision board said, every rejection is a redirection. And the only reason I didn't put that on my board is because my board was nothing but positivity, right? I didn't even want the word rejection on my board, right? My board is joy and happiness and love and inspiration and all of these things. And I did love that saying though, that every rejection is a redirection because
Definitely.
sometimes you can be protected from something and it doesn't feel like that in the moment, but that's 100% what that was. Yeah.
I do wish that recruiters would get back to telling you the why.
Do you think they're afraid? Do you think it's like fear of litigation? Do you think it's volume and they just don't have bandwidth to be more deep?
I think it's both. It depends on the step that you make it to in the process. I think that that should be a part of the conversation. If I make it to a panel interview or a second round, I'm always going to ask for feedback. And so far, I've asked for feedback 3 times that I received a no, and I've received feedback 0 times. But it's okay. I will contribute that to maybe their volume, the workload that they may be experiencing. And, if an organization wants to be effective, I think that maybe they need to look at their structure. Maybe your recruiters are overworked.
Right. Yeah.
And these our ATS systems these days have so many different ways of supporting that work. And sometimes we purchase these systems and we don't use them completely or to the best of their ability. So I ask organizations to look at their ATS system, make sure that they're using them fully to the best of their ability, get your money's worth,
Mm-hmm.
and help that recruiter be as effective as possible in their roles.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, um, the other piece is like there are so many services, and I've talked about this before, like this is a soapbox moment for me, where you are paying a fee for them to go and use AI to apply to jobs for you. And so then a job posting comes up and they get hundreds of applicants within the first couple of hours to the point that they actually need to shut the post down. And it has nothing to do with who was the most qualified or who, because they're out there just it's a volume game at that point. And I loved what you said about your network and all of that. I mean, if I think back to my career in the last 10 years, maybe, every single role that I had was either I was referred to the executive search firm from somebody that I knew, or I was referred to the hiring manager directly because of somebody that I knew. And it's simply a matter of actually getting a human being to have your profile in front of them and that they're, giving this glowing endorsement of like, hey, hire Nicole. She does great work, right? She cares. You're not going to find anybody that cares more than she does. Like, hire her, right?
Also noticed, like, when you go on certain websites or certain companies' websites, you can't find contact information. You can't just reach out and say, "Hey, I'm checking on the status of my application" anymore. So I do try to find that person. Or I'm a stickler of saying, "Hey, tell me who I'm going to be interviewing with," so I can try to find them on LinkedIn. I'll get creative on the emails, like from the recruiter, to see if I can make that email up for the hiring manager and try to connect that way. Like I said, I'm always intentional about the organizations that I apply for. So I want them to see my passion because it truly is there.
Yes. Yes. Well, and it's funny because years ago, we probably would have said, respect the process, don't reach out, don't whatever, right? But now it's like, you do kind of have to cut through the noise. And sometimes, I don't want to say like it's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil, but sometimes it is the person that is outside of the regular process that please apply, right? Like, don't come for me, recruiters. Please apply
I do the
and
process.
follow the process.
Yes,
But then
please.
also, it's okay to reach out. But first and foremost, if you know somebody that works there, reach out to them first before you apply because it might be a different process to apply, right? Like some of
Yes.
them, especially depending on their ATS, they might have a whole different application for somebody who's a referral. And so,
Yes. And I have contacts that have told me that if you see something on our website before you apply, let me
yeah,
know so I can send you that referral link.
right. Yeah. Also, bonus, they're going to get possibly a referral bonus. And so that's great. We're helping people out all over the place, right?
And yes, definitely. And I always tell applicants too, it's okay to send a thank you email. It's okay to send a thank you note. Like, I don't want that to be lost as old school mentality. Like, as a recruiter in my past, I appreciate those.
Me too. Me too. Yeah. I vividly remember if it wasn't already captured in the ATS and part of the candidate record, I would download that email to a PDF and I would upload that into the candidate record, or I'd, take a screenshot of it and put it into the candidate record because I wanted them to know, like, hey, this person's really interested in us. And I'm with you. Like, I don't care how old I am or if people say it's outdated. I following up, I'm communicating, I'm saying thank you. And I'm not just saying thank you, I'm saying thank you and also saying, these are some things that I identified in the conversations and how I think that
Yes,
would be the best fit to address that, because you're already showing that you have that critical thinking and problem solving skills and that you're ready to get to work, right? Like all they have to do is give you the job. So,
that's right.
yeah, yeah. So for people who are listening and feel kind of stuck in a job that looks great on paper but doesn't feel right, what would you say to someone who's in a role that maybe looks good on paper but it just doesn't align with their values anymore?
Listen to that discomfort. It's telling you something. Titles and salaries can't compensate for misalignment. Like, you don't have to quit tomorrow. Like, don't make any hasty decisions, but you do need to be honest with yourself. Understand where that discomfort is coming from and figure out if that's the organization to help you get out of that discomfort or if it's a misalignment with the organization and what that looks like for you.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you might want to just have a conversation with, your boss or your leader, right? And say like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I feel like I'm kind of out of alignment and I'm not sure if that's something that I can talk to you about. Maybe I can do something different here, or maybe I have the wrong perception on something and you can, kind of help me and give me some clarity on that." Because it's not always a negative thing, right? Sometimes it's just like, hey, something just doesn't feel right here anymore, and I care about what we're doing and I want to move the business forward, so what can I do differently, or what can I learn, or I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you might feel out of alignment, and they're not always necessarily negative. It's not like all companies are bad, right? Or all
Right.
leadership teams
Exactly.
are. It might not be that at all, and it truly might be an internal thing, and so you want to figure out, is this a me thing? Is this a you thing? Is this a combination? Like, what's going on here?
When I worked in sports, I feel like the company I worked for did a really great job at that. I actually worked in 5 different departments in that organization, and it was because the leadership there saw something in me that I necessarily didn't see in myself. They read my evaluations and saw where my passion lied, and they opened those doors for me. So it's not just on you as the employee too. It takes your managers and your leadership to really pay attention and really be mindful of the people that they have working for them.
Definitely. And I love that you said that, because so many times, right, we read exit interviews, or like you get to all the way to that point, right? And we're reading exit interviews and the person's like, "Oh, well, I'm going to this other job because I'm doing this." And it's like, "Well, we actually have that ability here.
Yes,
We just apparently did a terrible job of communicating it." And so now we've lost somebody who understood our business, was a culture ad, and now they're going out the door because we simply didn't communicate clearly enough what the opportunities were that existed here. Or
yes,
again, they didn't think that they were going to be successful doing that with us. And so then we've got some work to do.
definitely.
So I want to end on a note of clarity and vision. I think so much of our conversation had to do with that. What do you want prospective employers and colleagues and the broader community to understand about you?
That I bring strategy and heart to everything I do. I lead with empathy, but I'm also very intentional about execution and following through. And I care a lot about building trust, developing people, and making sure that the impact lasts longer than my title. I'm not just looking for a job, I'm looking for a team and a culture where collaboration is valued, a team that I can grow with, and we can build something like meaningful alongside each other. I want to help create strong internal teams and smart strategies that supports the organization and the community surrounding that organization. Most importantly, I am just committed to doing the work. I just want to do the work that matters with people or in an organization that values purpose, people, and performance equally. It's so important to me that people have a say in the work that they do.
It's so important, right? I mean, I say it till I'm blue in the face. Like, people want to feel valued, appreciated, supported, and seen. Like, they want to be connected to the work that they're doing.
Yes,
And we have to give them that. We have to help them to connect to it and to see where they're making an impact. I mean, Absenteeism goes through the roof. The quickest way that you can address absenteeism is, do they understand what it means when they're not there? Because if they feel like they're replaceable and anybody could do the work, then what does it matter if they show up or not, right? If they're not dialed in, it's not punitive attendance policies, right? It's really getting to the heart of, why is it that you don't feel like you being here or not matters?
Exactly. Like, I want everybody to feel like they wake up with a purpose and they wanna come to work because they love what they do, not just because they need a paycheck.
Yes.
I know people that work in sports on a seasonal level that's been there 30, 40 years, and it's because they love coming to work because the culture there to have seasonal employees celebrating 35 and 40 years, to me, is insane, right? But they do it because the culture is authentic. And that's really where I'm looking for another authentic culture where I enjoy waking up and feeling connected to the work that I'm doing every day.
Yeah. I think that's certainly not isolated to people in HR, but I think that it's definitely more common because we're so connected to people, that I think that we're so connected to purpose when it comes to our work. And I mean, I definitely share your sentiment, right? Like, I want people to wake up and be excited to go to work every day. I mean, I love what I do, right? And I wouldn't have dedicated 20 plus years to it if I didn't. Like, I am not built for that. So I think that it is our privilege then to be able to help to connect people to their true joy and what they are doing, and connect it and feel like they're making a difference in the work that they're doing.
Yes.
Valencia, thank you so much for showing up with such honesty and heart. Your story is a powerful invitation, really, to all of us to choose alignment and community and authenticity, even when it's hard. I'm so glad that we got to share this time together. And if people are looking for ways to connect with you or to work with you or to hire you, where can they best find you?
The best place to find me is on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so connect and please drop me a DM anytime.
And please tell her why you want to connect with her. I'll do that little PSA. Like, don't spam her with a bunch of and then not tell her why you're trying to connect, right? Like, give some
Yes.
context a little bit.
Yes.
So, yes. And we will have the link to Valencia's LinkedIn profile in the show notes. So we'll get you all connected. But I just want to thank you so much for spending the time with me today. I know that your message is going to resonate with people, and I'm excited to see what you do next in your career. And we'll have you back and share about it. That's going to be part of some kind of new shows that happen in the new year, as I'm bringing back former guests, and they're going to share on what worked for them in their, job seeking process, and then also what they're excited about with what they're doing now. I think that it's as important to share the stories of people that are going through it as with the people who've been there on the other side, because I think it's inspiring for others. So thank you so much. And also thank you to our listeners for listening to Amplify Your Signal. If this conversation moved you, please do your part, share it with your network, and help to amplify Valencia's voice. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. I think we're on literally all of them, including YouTube. And join us next time as we amplify voices, elevate stories, and support one another, one episode at a time.
Pages blank, but hearts alive. Through their journeys, they still strive. Tales of passion, grit and grace. Every journey leaves its trace.